In today's video, I'm going to be talking about simple subtraction. So my last video was about addition methods. Some of these methods are going to be adapted just slightly to suit subtraction. So they may be quite similar in some ways. But what I want to talk about first is simple subtractions. So this whole video will be about simple subtraction, and that's where there is no exchanging. There's no change between taking ones away, where you will then go into another place value section, because that's a different skill and it will require different methods. So I'll pop that into a separate video. So this is just simple subtraction today, where ones will be taken away from just ones and tens will be taken away from just tens, hundreds, same thing, thousands, same thing. So, simple subtraction. What children need to understand first is what subtraction means. So what does it mean to subtract, to take away? And that's something they can find really tricky, especially when we've always been about combining numbers. So place value, putting numbers together to make a bigger number. Addition, same thing, putting numbers together to make a bigger number. They need to understand that they will start with the biggest number. So if you have the number 36, we'll start with the number 36. So I will get my deans. So I will need 3 tens and then 6 ones for this. So 1, 2, 3. So this is just a really simple way to explain subtraction to your children. Subtraction, you start with the biggest number, you start with the whole number, and then from that you are taking away. So it's all about the number getting smaller, it's all about taking something from there. And what we need to find out is what is left. So if I'm going to have 36, and from 36 I take away 16, what I need to know is what's left. So this is the way that subtraction will look on a part-whole model, where you've got one part, and then the whole. So 36, take away 16, and that's not 36, that's 33. This is 36. I can't talk and do at the same time. Definitely not a YouTuber. So I've now got 36. From 36, I'm going to take away 16. So I can take away my 10 first, and then I can take away my 6, and it's all about what I've got left. So what I've got left is 20. Now by showing them this way, once they're used to seeing place value and addition this way, then what you get to do is have children make that link between what those operation means together, because addition and subtraction will always go together, and you'll be able to use them as what is called a fact family later on. So you've got 36, we took away 16, and now we've got 20. So that is the method of subtraction. I tend to not use part-wholes as a method for subtraction, mainly because you have to have a really good understanding of number to be able to do this without using anything else. So the first method that I'm going to show you is how to take away by drawing deans. Now, I've got the physical deans here today just to help me out a little bit, but you would do the same thing as I've shown in my other videos, where you just draw a tens dean and a ones dean. And if you were going to do this with hundreds numbers, then you can obviously draw the 100 square as well, which looks like that. I'm going to focus on 2-digit numbers, mainly because it applies to most children, and once you've got 2-digit, it should be easy to transform it into 3-digit numbers as well. So our first method is drawing deans. So I'm going to write a number sentence. Remember, it's not a sum, because sum is only for addition. So if I have, let's do 76. Oh, that's not working. Why's that not working? Is it too wet? 76. There we go. I've got 76, and from 76, let's just do a 10. We're just going to take 10s to begin with. I want to take away 20. Now, all about place value, so you will need to recognise what you're being asked for, but because you are drawing the deans, it's going to be nice and easy. So you will draw the number 76. So 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, the only difference here is that before, when we were adding, we would have drawn the second number. So you would draw 20 to the side. However, because this is take away, the one rule for this method is you only draw the first number. So you only draw your very first number. When children are first practicing this, they will very easily draw the second number. The reason that is not helpful is because when you then come to take away, it's all about crossing out. So if I'm then going to take away 20, I need to take it from my 76 originally. So 76, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And then I need my 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, when I first teach this, what I always get them to do is have a second colour. So I would say this is my second colour. So this is what I'm going to do with the 20. I'm not going to draw deans, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross out. So I'm going to take my second colour and I need to cross out 20. So 10, 20. Now because I've used my second colour, I can really clearly see which deans are left, and then I can count them. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56. I'm still taking these away because I'm crossing them out. They no longer exist in my number. So that's one way that you can do this, by taking your deans that you've drawn away. If you're going to do it with deans, then they can just physically take them, but I would really use the crossing out method. So if you were going to use this for bigger numbers, and I'll just show you really quickly on this one, I have used this quite a few times with the children that I have taught or tutored in older years, just because sometimes their confidence is quite low. And I think that's something we need to think about with maths, is that a lot of the time when children show a misunderstanding, it's not because they can't do it, it's because they don't have the confidence to do it. It's all about risk taking and trying to solve problems, and it's not always about finding the right answer when you're beginning. So I would say if sometimes children are having troubles with maths, or they display an emotion for not enjoying it, most of the time it's because their confidence will be low with it. So doing methods like this, sometimes they don't need to do it, but they need it as like a comfort blanket, because they know that what they're drawing will give them the right answer at the end. And once they've got that confidence with the drawing, then they can go on to more fluent things like mental subtraction. So that's why I always say this isn't just for the younger children, this is for everybody, because it really depends where you are in your journey. So, bigger numbers. If I'm going to take 283, and then from 283, I'm going to take away 210. I draw my 283 first. And because you're only drawing one number, it doesn't matter how far it spans. Ideally, it would be nice if it did look nice and neat, but I really wouldn't worry, because this is just a explorative method and a way to, like a means to an end, rather than that's not going to be your final answer. As in, you will write the answer, so it doesn't matter if this part isn't neat. But I would say, don't draw them too close together, because when you come to cross things out, a lot of children will miscount because they haven't separated their deans correctly. So I've got 283, I need to take away 210, so I take my second colour and I cross out 100, 200, then I know I need to cross out just 110, and then, oh, I don't need to cross out any ones. What have I got left? Well, there's no 100, so it's not going to be a 100 answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 70, 71, 72, 73. So then my answer is 73. I would always get them to practice writing the answer afterwards as well, so not just drawing and counting, but writing it as numbers at the end, because that will just help them when they get further along in their journey, but also it helps them to be a little bit more accurate when checking their answer as well. So that is the Dean's method. Now the next method I would teach moving on from this, so this would be like my next step. I'm going to do it again with 2-digit numbers and then I'll show you a 3-digit version afterwards. This is the blank number line that I have shown before. So like I said, this can be used for both addition and subtraction. I don't need these now, so I'll take these off. So a blank number line is just a line. Now when we did addition, we started from this side of the number line and then we added on, but because we are going to be taken away, we're going to start from the other side. That's just one tip to make it. You can start from the other end, but when you think of an actual number line, when you add, you go up, and when you count back, you count down. So I would try to get them used to that, but I would also suggest using the different ends because it makes them really clear what operation they're doing. Sometimes if they start here, even though they know it's subtraction, they'll confuse their operations and they'll start adding rather than taking away. So I've got the problem 69, take away 24. Again, I'm not surpassing my ones because this is simple subtraction. So I'm going to start with 69 here, and then I need to take away my 24. Just like we did with addition, I'm going to partition this into 20 and then this into 4. So this tells me I need to take 2 10s away. So from 69, take 2 10s, 1 10 gives me 59, and then another 10 gives me 49. Like I said, they can use a 100 square to help them with this if they know how to do that. If not, then they can count on their fingers. They can have that number in their head and then they can count back on their fingers. I wouldn't expect them to be able to do this fluently all the time, mainly because sometimes, like I said, their confidence can be low, but also it's a lot cognitively to think about in their heads. So then I take away my 4, and that can either be 4 jumps of 1. So take away 1, that's 48. Take away 1, that's 47. Take away 1, that's 46. And then take away 1, that's 45. Alternatively, they can just do one big jump of 4 and then take away in their head. So that is a simple subtraction on a number line using just 2-digit numbers. With addition, it doesn't matter which number you start with, but what they really need to get in their heads for subtraction is that you always have to take away from the bigger number. Sometimes that's not the case when it comes to older years, and then they tend to go into negative numbers or decimals. However, that is not what is taught up until, I would say, year 4. So they always take away from the bigger number. So, all the pens are going everywhere. So this is how you would do it with 3-digit numbers. So this is how you would do it with 3-digit numbers on a blank number line. So, and I should say the benefit of doing this on a blank number line rather than doing it on a stretch of number line that has numbers is that you can be really, what's the word I'm looking for? You can be stopped from counting all those numbers that you need to, because a number line stretch will only go so far to give you a certain amount. It also takes an incredibly long amount of time to write all those numbers in between the two numbers that you are taking away. So blank number line's always the way, because children should be able to count in those blocks in their head. So let's take away from a 3-digit number. So we're going to start with 742. So from 742, I want to take away 321. So I start with my 742. I'm going to start it at this end because that's where I would naturally count back on a number line. Then I need to partition. So, 3, 2, 1, I didn't even notice. 300, so that's 3 jumps of 100. 20, that's 2 jumps of 10. And then 1 is obviously just 1, 1. So we'll start with the bigger numbers, do the bigger number jumps first. So take away 100, 700 would be 642. Now alternatively, if they know how to jump in bigger numbers and all they just need to do is separate it to take away, instead of just doing one jump of 100, they can do a jump of 300 and then just take away 300 from 700. This is really good for just breaking down as to taking away those parts. So alternatively, if they know how to take away those bigger numbers, this might just be a way to get it really clear so it's out of their head and onto the page. So if I just take away another 100, that would be 542, and then another 100, that is 442. And then I want to take away my 20, so I can do 2 jumps of 10, or I can just take away 20, which would be 422. And then my final one is my 1, so I take away 1, so it's 421. So that is how to take away using a blank number line of 3-digit numbers. The last method that I want to show you is column subtraction. So I showed column addition, and that's where the numbers obviously get bigger, but this is column subtraction. So it's laid out in exactly the same way, and this is why writing down your operation is really important. So 2-digit number, I would start with something like 86, and then from 86 I want to take away 45. So they're my 2 numbers that I'm going to start with. If your child is very early on with this, I would draw the column and then I would also draw the deans to take away. If they're year 3, so late year 2, early year 3, then I would say you shouldn't really need to draw the deans because they'll be familiar with this method. If your child needs the comfort blanket, then start by drawing the deans, and then when they get more confident they can take them away. It's all about moving on and those little jumps to help us to feel comfortable with what we're learning. So I'm going to write my place value sections at the top so I know exactly what my columns are. So I'm going to write 86, and 86 I know has 8 10s and 6 1s, and then 45, so 4 10s and 5 1s. Remember, I'm taking away, write your operation, and then you want your equals sign at the bottom. Sometimes they draw one line. I like to draw an equals sign mainly because two lines, because it looks like an equals sign, and equals usually gives you the answer. So 86 to begin with. So I draw 86 on this side. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, squeeze it in, 80. Now, 6 1s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What you've got to remember is, like before, when you were drawing your deans, you do not draw the second number. So this is where your colour would come from, your second colour. Always start with the 1s, because sometimes with column, the 1s will affect the 10s and the 10s will affect the 100s. That will be something that I'll go into when we're looking at exchanging in the next video. So I've got 6 1s, and I'm always taking away from the bigger number. So when I've got 6, I then want to take 5. So I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to cross them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many have I got left? Well, I've only got one left. So into my column, I would write 1 in the ones column. Now I need to take away 4 tens from 8 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many have I got left? 1, 2, 3, 4. So then I have 4 tens left. And when I look at them together, that makes 41. And what's quite nice, when you've drawn the deans, you can then check to see if you're happy with what you've written. Make sure you've counted the right number. When you're doing this with 3-digit numbers, I would say the older they get, this column method is the preferred method, because it will also help with methods such as multiplication and division. With long multiplication and long division, they'll do something similar with writing things underneath and putting them into the right columns. So it's a really good one to get them focused with and practiced with. So, taking away 536, I'm going to take away 424. These are just completely random numbers, by the way. I haven't thought about these beforehand. So, with this, putting them into columns, but we're going to start hundreds, tens, and then ones. So I write 536, and then I need to take away, write your take away symbol, 424. Make sure in the right columns, write your equal sign at the bottom. And then what you can do is draw your deans if you want to. So if I was going to draw 536, I draw my 500s, and then my 30 in tens, and then my 6 in ones. This time we're just going to look at the numbers. So for this, it's going to be 4 from 6. So I'm going to start with the number 6. I'm going to take away 4. So 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Although they should know that's 2. 2 from 3, that's 1, and then 4 from 5, that's 1. So we've got 112. I hope that's cleared up simple subtraction. Like I said, that's not bridging any numbers, so that's not needing any regrouping or exchanging. But that's a really good start at 3 methods that you can use to help with simple subtraction. Thanks for watching.